Knowledge is not the destination, it's the beginning. Many people believe that the pursuit of knowledge is the ultimate goal of life, but knowledge alone does not complete the journey of human potential. It only opens the door to something greater: understanding, wisdom, and purpose. When a person seeks knowledge merely to impress, to compete, or to feel superior, that knowledge becomes limited, even dangerous. But when one seeks knowledge to grow, to serve, and to fulfill purpose, that knowledge transforms into power. Knowledge by itself is like a seed. It carries potential, but it must be planted, nourished, and allowed to grow into fruit. Without this process, knowledge remains dormant and its value is never realized. Every discovery in life begins with curiosity, but the true reward of learning is not found in knowing, it is found in becoming. The difference between a person who collects information and a person who lives with understanding is the difference between movement and progress. Knowledge gives you data, but understanding gives you direction. It's not how much you know that defines your success. It's how deeply you understand what you know and how wisely you use it. The greatest minds in history were not those who simply gathered facts. They were those who turned knowledge into transformation. Knowledge begins the process of change, but it cannot complete it. Only when knowledge is guided by wisdom does it become life-giving. The mind may acquire endless information, but if the heart does not interpret it with purpose, it becomes meaningless. To live beyond knowledge is to recognize that learning never ends and growth never stops. Knowledge opens the door, but wisdom walks through it. It is the beginning of a journey that leads you to fulfillment, clarity, and destiny. The difference between knowing and living is the difference between potential and power. Many people know what is right, but still live contrary to it. They read about discipline, but remain bound by laziness. They learn about success, but are imprisoned by fear. They understand the principles of peace, but live in turmoil. Knowledge without practice is like light hidden under a basket. It has no effect on the darkness around it. The world does not change because people know. It changes because people live what they know. True wisdom begins when knowledge leaves the pages of a book and becomes the pattern of a life. There is a great gap between what we learn and how we live. That gap is where most dreams die. Knowing the truth is not enough. It must become your lifestyle. When a person begins to act on what they know, knowledge turns into power. Living knowledge means embodying it in your actions, your choices, and your relationships. It means that what you believe becomes visible in how you behave. That is when knowledge stops being theory and starts becoming transformation. The measure of true learning is not memory, it is manifestation. Anyone can memorize a principle, but only a few can manifest it. The greatest teachers are not those who speak of truth, but those who live it. When you live what you know, you become an example, a light, a reflection of wisdom in motion. To live beyond knowledge is to allow truth to shape your decisions, your character, and your destiny. It's not about how much you have learned, but how much you have become. Knowledge makes you aware, living makes you alive, and that is where real transformation begins, when truth becomes life itself. Knowledge without purpose is noise. It fills the mind with information, but leaves the heart empty. In every generation, people chase after learning, degrees, and titles, believing that knowledge alone guarantees success. Yet knowledge without direction becomes confusion. It multiplies answers but produces no clarity. Purpose is what gives knowledge value. It tells you why you know what you know. When a person understands their purpose, knowledge becomes their tool, not their identity. Without purpose, knowledge becomes arrogance. With purpose, it becomes power. You can master science, history, or philosophy, but if you have no sense of direction, you will still wander aimlessly. Knowledge answers questions, but purpose gives those answers meaning. A person who knows their purpose may not know everything, but they know enough to make their life count. Purpose filters knowledge. It helps you decide what is worth learning and what is not. Without that filter, you end up knowing many things that do not matter and missing the few things that do. Purpose turns knowledge into impact. When you understand why you are learning, every lesson becomes sacred. You no longer study just to pass exams or impress others. You study to fulfill destiny. Purpose gives focus to your energy, clarity to your mind, and peace to your heart. Knowledge without purpose may make you smart, but it will not make you wise. It may open doors, but it will not tell you which one to walk through. The strength of your knowledge depends on the clarity of your purpose. Life beyond knowledge begins when you stop chasing information and start pursuing intention. Because when purpose directs knowledge, every thought becomes meaningful, every skill becomes valuable, and every moment becomes a step toward your destiny. Understanding connects the mind and the spirit. It is the bridge between knowledge and wisdom, between information and transformation. Knowledge fills the intellect, but understanding awakens the soul. You can know many things yet remain empty inside if your mind and spirit are not aligned. Understanding gives depth to knowledge. It turns facts into insight and experience into revelation. It teaches you not just what something is, but why it matters and how it fits into the greater picture of life. Without understanding, even the most educated mind can remain shallow. Understanding is what allows a person to interpret life through the lens of wisdom. It enables you to see beyond appearances and grasp the truth beneath the surface. When the mind receives knowledge, the spirit interprets it, and understanding unites them into harmony. This is why some people can read the same book or hear the same truth, yet only one walks away transformed, because understanding gives life to what knowledge introduces. It's not enough to collect information. One must also comprehend its purpose and meaning. Understanding requires reflection. It grows in stillness, humility, and a willingness to listen. It cannot exist where pride reigns, because pride closes the heart while understanding opens it. The more a person seeks to understand, the more they grow in compassion, discernment, and peace. Knowledge may give you answers, but understanding gives you perspective. It helps you see not only how life works, but also how it weaves together in divine order. Life beyond knowledge is the pursuit of that harmony. When your intellect serves your spirit and your spirit directs your mind. In that union lies true wisdom, the kind that not only informs your life, but transforms the world around you. Applied knowledge births influence. Knowledge by itself is potential, but application turns that potential into power. The world is not changed by thinkers alone. It is changed by doers, those who take what they know and put it into practice. You can spend years studying principles of success, leadership, or faith, but until those principles become actions, they remain dormant. Applied knowledge is the proof that you truly understand what you have learned. It is the bridge between learning and living, between theory and transformation. Influence is born when what you know begins to serve others. The greatest leaders are not those who know the most, but those who apply their knowledge to meet real needs. They take wisdom from books, lessons from experience, and direction from purpose, and they use them to impact the lives of others. Application multiplies the value of knowledge. What benefits one person in thought can benefit thousands in action. Knowledge becomes legacy only when it leaves your mind and enters your movement. Applying knowledge requires courage. It demands that you step beyond comfort and test what you believe. Every great invention, discovery, or reform began with someone who dared to apply what they knew. Application brings results, correction, and growth. It turns ideas into innovation, faith into evidence, and potential into performance. Those who apply knowledge become lights in the darkness, examples of wisdom in motion. They don't just talk about principles, they live them. Life beyond knowledge is the life of impact. It is where what you know begins to change who you are and influence those around you. The true measure of intelligence is not how much you have learned, but how much good your learning has produced. Knowledge applied is knowledge multiplied. Transformation begins with revelation. Knowledge may inform the mind, but revelation awakens the soul. There is a vast difference between learning something and seeing it with spiritual clarity. Knowledge teaches you facts, but revelation opens your eyes to meaning. It is that sudden light in the heart that shows you what information alone cannot reveal. Many people are educated, yet still blind to truth, because revelation cannot be taught. It must be received. It is the moment when what you've known intellectually becomes real to your spirit, when truth becomes alive within you. Revelation is what turns information into inspiration. You can read about courage, but when revelation strikes, you feel courage rise within you. You can learn about love, but when revelation comes, love becomes your nature. Revelation is divine insight. It connects your knowledge to your purpose. It reveals the unseen dimension behind what you already know. It is what gives birth to conviction, passion, and transformation. Without revelation, knowledge remains cold. With it, knowledge becomes fire. Transformation happens when revelation changes how you see yourself, others, and life. It reshapes your values, your vision, and your direction. When the light of understanding shines upon truth, it produces inner renewal. You no longer live from memory, you live from meaning. This is why revelation is sacred. It is not simply learned through study, but through reflection, faith, and humility. It is when you allow wisdom to enter your heart and truth to shape your being. Life beyond knowledge is the life of revelation. It's the realm where your mind no longer seeks to control truth, but to be transformed by it. Once revelation comes, you can never go back to ignorance because your spirit has seen what your eyes once overlooked, and that vision changes everything. Life beyond knowledge is the pursuit of divine purpose. Knowledge gives you tools, but purpose gives you direction. You can know everything about the world and still feel lost if you do not know why you exist. Purpose is the compass of life. It gives meaning to your gifts, clarity to your goals, and strength to your journey. When knowledge serves purpose, it becomes power. When it does not, it becomes distraction. The most fulfilled people are not the ones who know the most, but those who align what they know with what they were created to do. Divine purpose is not discovered through education alone. It is revealed through connection with the source of wisdom. When you understand that your life was designed with intention, every bit of knowledge you gain becomes part of your assignment. Purpose turns learning into destiny. It refines your focus and eliminates confusion because it helps you see that everything you experience, every lesson, every failure, every success was preparing you for something greater. Living beyond knowledge means moving from curiosity to calling. It means your ambition is not just to achieve, but to fulfill. Purpose transforms success into service and knowledge into impact. It brings peace to your soul because it aligns your actions with your essence. When you know your why, your how becomes clear, every decision, every challenge, and every opportunity takes on new meaning when guided by purpose. Life beyond knowledge is a spiritual journey, not just an intellectual one. It is the realization that you were created for more than survival. You were created for significance. Knowledge makes you capable, but purpose makes you complete. And when your knowledge serves your divine purpose, you don't just live, you become the reason others find life.